Every trader thinks they're ready. Until the market exposes the truth they've been hiding from themselves. That's the first line I want you to hear, because it's the line Jesse Livermore lived, breathed, and ultimately mastered. And before we begin, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt the market was speaking a language you couldn't quite understand? You knew it was trying to tell you something. If yes, comment your moment below. I want to know the exact point where the market first shook you awake, because today I'm taking you into the mind of Jesse Livermore, the man who didn't just trade stocks. He traded human nature. And in this documentary-style breakdown, I'll show you how Livermore's timeless philosophy is not only relevant, but essential for every modern trader who feels overwhelmed, impatient, or constantly stuck in cycles they can't break. So let me set the stage. Picture the early 1900s, no charts, no indicators, no online brokerage accounts, no analysts shouting on TV, just tape raw price flowing like a river across the ticker. Livermore sat alone, staring at that tape for hours, not because he loved staring, but because he believed price was the final truth, the market's heartbeat, its pulse, its confession. He learned something that many traders never understand. The market doesn't exist to reward your intelligence. It exists to test your discipline. And the moment you understand that, you stop trying to conquer the market and start learning how to survive it. I want you to imagine Livermore's world in a modern context. Imagine you're sitting at your screen. The candlesticks are moving, green to red, red to green. A breakout tempts you. A dip seduces you. Fear whispers, greed screams, and your finger hovers over the buy button. Livermore was in that exact situation, just with different tools. Think of him not as a historical figure, but as the original trader who faced the exact storm you face every single day. Losses that sting, wins that inflate, second-guessing your entries, regretting your exits, feeling confident at the wrong moments, feeling fearful at the right moments, living inside a psychological hurricane. Livermore once said something that always hits me hard. Wall Street never changes because human behavior never changes. And that's why his book, How to Trade in Stocks, remains one of the greatest pieces of trading wisdom ever written. You see, Livermore wasn't just describing markets. He was describing you, your impulses, your self-sabotage, your emotional blind spots, your hunger for quick profits, your fear of missing opportunities, your tendency to violate your own rules, even when you know better. And in this first section, I want to bring you right into the psychology that shaped Livermore's success and his failures. Because both matter, both teach, both reveal truths that modern traders desperately need. Here's an idea. He lived by one that changed the entire trajectory of his career. It was never my thinking that made big money for me. It was always my sitting. That's right, his sitting. His patience, his restraint, his willingness to do nothing until the exact moment the market opened its doors to him. Think about that. In a world where traders jump in and out of positions dozens of times a day, Livermore believed in waiting, observing, letting the market reveal its hand. In fact, the more he traded, the less he traded, because he realized something most traders never discover. The greatest edge in the market is not prediction, it's timing. And timing requires discipline. Discipline requires and self-awareness requires a war with your own impulses. Livermore's story is cinematic because it's not just about stock prices. It's about a man wrestling with destiny, fear, intuition, and ambition. A man who built and lost fortunes. A man who understood that success wasn't merely about skill. It was about mastering the psychological battlefield inside his own mind. As I speak to you right now, I want you to reflect on your trading life. Where are you in your journey? Are you the beginner, chasing every breakout? Are you the frustrated trader, losing discipline? Are you the hopeful trader, studying but not improving? Are you the emotional trader, reacting instead of observing? Or are you the evolving trader, the one who senses a breakthrough coming but hasn't crossed that threshold yet? Wherever you are, Livermore has something for you, because his philosophy is not a strategy, not a setup, not a secret formula. It's a mindset, a complete rewiring of how you see the market and how you see yourself. In this two-part documentary, I'm going to walk you through the emotional storms he survived, the rules he developed, and the wisdom he carved out of years of brutal experience. And by the end, you'll see exactly why Livermore remains the North Star for serious traders. But before we move into the cinematic conclusion in Section 2, let me ask you one simple question. If you were sitting in Livermore's chair with only price as your guide, would you have survived the market? Or would the market have swallowed you alive? Comment below. Your answer tells me which part of the journey you're on. In the end, every trader meets a moment where the chart stops moving, the world grows silent, and you're left face to face with the only opponent that ever mattered, yourself. That's where I want to begin this final section. Not in the noise of the market, not in the chaos of the trading floor, but in the quiet space where a trader realizes the truth. Jesse Livermore spent his life trying to teach. The market is never your enemy. Your undisciplined self is. As we move into this cinematic close, I want you to imagine a scene. The lights are low. The screen flickers with the glow of a candlestick chart moving in slow waves. A heartbeat, like ticking, echoes. Steady, rhythmic, inevitable. You're sitting in the center of that room. History on your left, the future on your right, and directly ahead, the lessons of Jesse Livermore, waiting for you to claim them. Because, after all the drama, after all the triumphs, after all the losses that broke him and rebuilt him, Livermore's message distilled into something astonishing in its simplicity. The game does not change. Human nature does. Every modern trader hears these words. Very few understand them. Even fewer live by them. And yet, if you breathe deeply and let those words settle, you'll feel what Livermore truly meant. Charts evolve, technology transforms, platforms innovate, execution becomes instant, indicators grow more complex. But the trader behind the screen, the fear, the greed, the hesitation, the hope, that hasn't changed in 100 years, and it won't change in the next 100. That's why Livermore's teachings remain cinematic, eternal, almost mythic. He wasn't simply mastering price. He was mastering inner storms. Storms that every trader faces. Whether they're trading with a mechanical keyboard or staring at ticker tape in a dimly lit room. Let me take you into one final moment. One that captures in a single breath the essence of Livermore's philosophy. Picture Livermore, alone in his office late at night. The streets outside are quiet. His desk is piled with notes, handwritten observations. Patterns he's seen, behaviors he's tracked in the market for years. He isn't chasing a trade. He isn't predicting tomorrow's opening. He is simply thinking, reflecting, studying himself. Because Livermore knew what modern traders often forget. Success is never built in the moment you pulled the trigger. Success is built in the discipline forged long before that moment arrives. He once wrote that a trader's biggest losses happen long before the trade is ever placed. They happen in the small violations, the unnoticed impulses, the slow erosion of rules, the quiet promises, broken in the privacy of one's own mind. That's what makes Livermore so relevant today. So many traders seek a setup, a pattern, a secret, a shortcut. But Livermore's voice cuts through time like a blade. A trader must study himself. And when you truly sit with those words, a shift happens. A realization dawns. A new level opens. Because suddenly, you understand, your biggest losses weren't because the market was unpredictable. They were because you were. Your missed opportunities weren't because the market was unfair. They were because you were impatient. Your emotional breakdowns weren't because the chart betrayed you. They were because you betrayed your rules. This is the greatest cinematic twist in every trader's journey. The villain you've been fighting was never the volatility, never the news, never the never the whales, never the brokers. It was always the untrained version of yourself. And once you accept that, once the fog clears, you gain something. Livermore considered priceless. Clarity. Clarity in your entries. Clarity in your exits. Clarity in when to stand aside. Clarity in what kind of trader you truly are. Clarity in your purpose, your discipline, your mindset. Clarity gives birth to consistency. Consistency gives birth to confidence. And confidence, not impulsive courage, is what transforms a struggling trader into a professional one. So as we close this documentary-style journey into the mind of Jesse Livermore. I want you to understand one thing above all else. Your evolution as a trader begins the moment you stop asking, "What is the market doing?" and start asking, "What am I doing?" That is the moment you step from chaos into control, from confusion into intention, from randomness into strategy, from fear into mastery. So let me leave you with this. If Livermore were alive today, staring at the same charts you stare at, facing the same volatility you face, dealing with the same emotional storms you try to hide, would he succeed, or would he struggle the same way most traders do? Here's the truth. He would succeed. Not because he had secret insights, not because he predicted markets, not because he was lucky, but because he mastered the only part of trading that truly matters: himself. And now, the question shifts to you. Are you willing to master your own impulses, your own discipline, your own rules, your own patience? If the answer is yes, then Livermore's lessons will live inside your trading forever. Before you leave, I want to hear from you. Which Livermore principle resonates with you the most? Patience, discipline, sitting tight, or studying your own behavior? Comment below. Your answer tells me the next level you're ready for. And until our next documentary, together, trade with intention, trade with discipline, trade with clarity, and above all, trade with the kind of self-awareness Jesse Livermore spent a lifetime trying to teach the world. This is your journey now. Make it legendary.